Emily and Daniel lay together in a field of wildflowers. The sun shone brightly, casting a golden hue on everything it touched. They laughed, their joy echoing through the warm summer air. Emily gently traced patterns on Daniel's arm. He watched her, his heart overflowing with love. The scent of wildflowers filled the air, a sweet perfume carried on the gentle breeze. Holding hands, they sat up and gazed at the vastness of the sky above. It was a perfect blue, dotted with fluffy white clouds. Daniel leaned down and kissed Emily's forehead. "I love you," he whispered. Emily's heart soared. She had never felt so happy, so complete. "I love you too, Daniel," she replied, her voice barely a whisper. They stayed like that for a long time, lost in their own world, the world they had created together. The sun began its slow descent, painting the sky in hues of orange, pink, and purple. As the first stars began to appear, Daniel turned to Emily, a serious look on his face. He knew he couldn't hide the truth from her any longer. Taking a deep breath, he spoke, his voice filled with trepidation. "Emily, I have something to tell you." The military transport plane was cold and impersonal. Daniel took his seat, his heart heavy with dread. He looked out the small window, searching for one last glimpse of home. In the distance, he saw Emily, a lone figure standing on the tarmac. Her hand was raised in a final wave. Tears welled up in Daniel's eyes. He had never been away from Emily for so long. The plane roared to life, the engines drowning out the sound of his beating heart. As the plane taxied down the runway, he closed his eyes, clinging to the memory of Emily's smile. The plane lifted into the air, soaring higher and higher until the ground below was nothing but a distant memory. Daniel felt a profound sense of loss wash over him. He was leaving behind everything he held dear. But he had a duty to fulfill, a promise to keep. He would make her proud. He would come home to her. He had to. With that thought in mind, he turned away from the window and tried to focus on the mission ahead. But Emily's image lingered in his mind, a constant reminder of all he was fighting for. The flickering candlelight cast long shadows on the wall as Emily sat by the window. In her hands, she held Daniel's latest letter, the paper worn thin from countless readings. Each word was a precious treasure, a lifeline connecting her to the man she loved. His words filled her with a bittersweet joy. "My dearest Emily," the letter began, the familiar handwriting a comfort to her soul. Daniel wrote of his longing for her, of the mundane details of his days, and of his hopes for their future together. He described the harsh realities of war, but always ended his letters with words of love and reassurance. Days turned into weeks, weeks into months. Emily waited anxiously for each letter, her heart skipping a beat whenever the postman arrived. But as time wore on, the letters came less frequently. A knot of worry began to grow in her stomach. She tried to stay busy, to keep her mind occupied. She volunteered at the local hospital, helped out at the church, and spent countless hours writing letters to Daniel. But every night, she found herself drawn back to the window, gazing at the moon and stars, wondering if he was looking at the same sky. A knock on the door shattered the silence of the day. Emily's heart leaped into her throat. She rushed to answer it, a glimmer of hope flickering in her chest. But it was not the postman standing on her doorstep. It was a young soldier, his face etched with sorrow. "Mrs. Emily Carter?" he asked, his voice thick with emotion. Emily nodded, her hand trembling as she reached for the letter he held out to her. The soldier looked at her with sympathy. "I'm so sorry, ma'am," he said softly. "Daniel was a good man. He died a hero." The world spun around Emily. She stumbled back, clutching the letter to her chest as if it were a lifeline. The soldier's words echoed in her ears, their meaning slow to penetrate the fog of shock and disbelief. "No," she whispered, her voice barely audible. "No, it can't be true." She shut the door and leaned against it, her body shaking with sobs. The letter slipped from her grasp and fluttered to the floor. It was Daniel's final letter, written in the last days of his life, a poignant message of love and loss. Emily sat by the lake, the sun warm on her face. In her hands, she held Daniel's final letter. Tears streamed down her cheeks as she read his words, each one a precious gift. He wrote of his love for her, of his pride in serving his country, and of his wish for her to find happiness. "Live your life to the fullest, my love," he wrote. "Don't let my absence dim your light. Remember the joy we shared, the love we had, and know that I will always be with you, in the whispers of the wind, the warmth of the sun, and the beauty of the world around you." As she finished the letter, a sense of peace washed over Emily. She looked out at the sparkling water, at the trees swaying gently in the breeze. She closed her eyes,